Welcome back. This evening I'd like to talk about a problem I'm finding increasingly often. You order a brand new car from a supposedly reputable company and it arrives not only faulty but with multiple faults. I ordered this combined filter and sediment trap from a well-known fuel equipment supplier in the northeast of England. It's branded as a Delphi, but the original was made by the British company CAV, which has long since been absorbed and multiply taken over by different companies, ending up today with Delphi. Delphi claim to be an organisation producing quality products. Let's have a look at this filter, hey? These Sedimenter filters have been around since probably the 1950s. This has unified national fine pipe thread fittings in there, and what I want to join it to is something entirely different for which conversions are not made. So I happily turned up some adapters to go from 1/2 inch UNF to 10mm compression on my lathe, fitted them in, and all seems good. Having tightened up the blanking plugs, just for self-satisfaction, I gave a little blow into that end. And of course it should be airtight when your thumb is over the other end, and it was not airtight, which immediately raises concerns. What on earth's going on here? So the first thing I spot is that despite the bolt being tightened on the top, which secures the bowl, this is loose. Take it apart and find there's an O-ring missing from the stack. Well, that's not the end of the world. I've got new replacement O-rings in stock, and because I'm a reasonable person, I don't want to pick a fight with a supplier just for want of an O-ring. So put an O-ring in there. Problem fixed, maybe. Or maybe not. This stem, which protrudes up through the glass bowl and through the aluminium sediment canister, fits into that hole there, and then the bolt goes on. Unfortunately, this stem is too long in length. It's been badly made. Either that or the aluminium bowl or the glass filter's been badly made, but either way it's too long and won't clamp up on the assembly. Again, not a problem. I can reduce that in length. That won't take 2 minutes. Problem solved, or so it seems. I'm showing this without the glass bowl because I do not want to drop it for the purpose of making this film, but we'll pretend it's all back together. Put it all back together, put the bolt in the top, and oh, that's trying to cross thread. Hang on, that's not right. It doesn't feel. Oh, gee, what's going on here? A further look, and you can see that the thread is not in line with the hole on the top. What's going on there? If you look at the filter from underneath, and camera angles can be misleading, I realise, the through hole for the bolt is not concentric with the hole into which the stem fits. That's really difficult to show on the camera in a convincing manner, but to the naked eye, it really isn't in line. Okay, so easy solution would be to file this hole out on the top, wouldn't it? So that the two line up. Well, not so easy, because that would then mean that countersink onto which this sealing O-ring goes, they won't be in line, they'll be skew-if, so it's going to leak fuel. Not an easy fix. By taking measurements at various places, I can see that this bore for the stem is correctly located, and it is the countersink on the top which is not concentric. That's the thing that needs to be fixed. Well, into the territory of this being beyond a reasonable fix, so I fire off an email to the supplier to see what they've got to say about it all. Whilst the kettle's brewing, I take a closer look at things and start wondering how they got that bolt in when it was assembled in the factory. A bit of cajolery, I imagine, But there are bits of aluminium left on that steel bolt from where they've grollied it in, so that was an entirely professional job. And then, on a hunch, because it just doesn't look right, set the base of the filter bowl up in the lathe, because something doesn't look right to me. And sure enough, it's wobbling round like a warped record. The error here is that the stem is not perpendicular to the ceiling face around the bottom. So that when you try and tighten it up, instead of sitting nicely like that, it's doing that and the O-ring's trying to pop out sideways. That's also not fuel tight. I've got a 1200 litre tank I want to connect on the end of this, and I don't want to get done for sticking fuel in the river. The base plate screws onto the stem, and luckily they'd Loctited it on so poorly that hand pressure alone was sufficient to undo it. I've tested this component and it's flat and round. Similarly, the thread on there runs true, but because the relationship of the diameter of that shoulder there to the ceiling face there, when you tighten it up, it pulls it wonkily. It might have helped if they'd have faced off this top of this here, but no, they didn't. It's rough cast. The supplier's initial response is that all of the other heads they hold in stock are equally bad. That's a great help. They have offered to supply me a new base with a shortened stem, but that's the least of my troubles. I can easily shorten the stem and I can fairly easily correct that. I've also been offered a full refund, but that doesn't solve me the problem. By the time part 2 comes out, I will have finished my dialogue with the supplier, and either will have done a series of machine repairs on this to make it good, or maybe they might have just sent me a better one from somewhere that they've magicked up. Thank you for watching this thrilling episode of Galvanised Senki, and I look forward to letting you know what the positive outcome is, because there will be a positive outcome one way or another.